Welcome to the course of Architectural Studies for Engineers. My name is Ravindra Kumar Khyani. I am Assistant Professor, Department of Architecture and Planning, NLD University, Engineering and Technology, Karachi, Pakistan. In lecture 1, we have discussed about the concepts and terminologies. We will continue the concepts and terminologies in lecture number 2. The first term that we have to understand is construction engineering. Construction engineering is a professional discipline that deals with the designing, planning, construction, and management of infrastructures such as roads, tunnels, bridges, airports, railroads, facilities, buildings, dams, utilities, and other projects. Civil engineering is a related field to construction engineering that deals more with the practical aspects of projects. The common aspects of both disciplines is construction engineers learn design aspects and project site management aspects, similar to civil engineer. At the educational level, civil engineering students concentrate primarily on the design work, which is more analytical, leading them towards a career as a design professional. Education for construction engineers is primarily focused on construction procedures, methods, cost, schedules, and personal management. Personal management is like people who are working on a project. Their primary concern is to deliver a project on time, within budget, and the desired quality. The difference between a construction and civil engineer is that construction students take basic design of structures and construction management courses, and civil students take detailed structural design courses. Work activities of construction engineers. Construction engineers apply their knowledge to business with technical and management skills to oversee projects that include buildings, housing, commercial, and industrial infrastructure. Construction engineers are heavily involved in the design, management, and allocation of funds in these projects. Construction engineers are charged with risk analysis, costing, and planning of the projects. Construction engineers are responsible for preparing, purchasing, requisition, processing, change orders, preparing monthly budgeting reports, and handling meeting of high-level management and clients. Construction engineers are problem solvers. They contribute to the creation of infrastructure that best meets the unique demands of its environment. They must be able to understand infrastructure life cycles. When compared and contrasted to design engineers, construction engineers bring to the table their own unique perspectives for solving technical challenges with clarity and imagination. What is architectural engineering? Architectural engineering, also known as building engineering or architecture engineering. Architectural engineering deals with the technological aspects and multidisciplinary approach to planning, design, construction, and operation of buildings, such as analysis and integrated design of environmental systems, such as energy system in the building, conservation of the building, heating, ventilation, and air conditioning system, HVAC system, plumbing system in the building, lighting system in the building, fire protection in the building, acoustics in the building, vertical and horizontal transportation in the building, structural systems, behavior and properties of building components and materials, and construction management. All this include in architectural engineering. Distinguished from architecture as an art of design, architectural engineering is the art and science of engineering and construction as practiced with respect to buildings and structures. Architecture technology. What is architecture technology? Architectural technology or building technology is the application of technology to the design of buildings. It is a component of architecture and building engineering. Architectural technology can be defined as technical design and expertise used in application and integration of construction technologies in the building design process, or the ability to analyze, synthesize, and evaluate building design factors in order to produce efficient and effective technical design solutions which satisfy the performance, production, and procurement criteria of the building. What is architectural style? This is a long topic. It is very important for engineers to understand what is architectural style because it gives them an idea about the aesthetics in the buildings and how aesthetical process an architect bring to the buildings. An architectural style is characterized by the features that make a building or other structure notable or historically identifiable. Architectural style may include such elements as form of the building, the method of construction, building materials, and the regional characteristics of the building. Most architecture can be classified within a chronology of styles. What style a particular era have, a particular building have, and what is their style which changes over time, reflecting changing fashions, beliefs or religions, or the emergence of new ideas, technology, or materials which make new styles possible. Styles therefore emerge from the history of a society and are documented in the subject of architectural history. At any time, several styles may be fashionable, and when a style changes, it usually does so gradually as architects learn and adopt to new ideas. Style often spread to other places so that the style at its source continues to develop in new ways while other countries follow with their own twist. After an architectural style has gone out of fashion, revivals and reinterpretation may occur. For example, let's begin with some styles of architecture. The first style that we are going to understand is Rococo style architecture. The Rococo style began in France in the 1730s. It is spread to northern Italy, Austria, southern Germany, Central Europe, and Russia. Rococo or late Baroque is a very ornamental and theatrical style of architecture, art, and decoration, which combines asymmetry, scrolling curves, gilding, white and pastel colors, sculpted moldings. These are the ingredients of the Rococo style. Rococo also came to influence the other arts, particularly sculpture, furniture, silverware, and glassware, painting, music, and theatre, all being affected through Rococo style. The Rococo was originally a secular style primarily used for interiors of private residences. However, later the Rococo style developed a spiritual aspect to it, which led to its widespread use in church interiors. Let's see some examples of the Rococo architecture. You see, this is a residence where you can see the interior of a residence is very much decorated, and you can find that there is a very stylistic, you can say, there are very much scrolling curves, and asymmetrical design is evident. This is another Emilienburg Pavilion in Munich, where you find that the building have a curvilinear facade. Similarly, this is a church interior in Bavaria, Germany, where you can see the style of Rococo. The new concept is neoclassicism and neoclassical architecture. What is neoclassicism? Neoclassicism was born in Rome. Neoclassicism was a Western cultural movement in the decorative and visual arts, literature, theater, music, and architecture that drew inspiration from the art and culture of classical Greeks and Roman art and crafts. European neoclassicism is in the visual arts began in 1760 in opposition to then dominant Rococo style. When people get bored from the Rococo style, there emerged a style of neoclassicism which was based on the old architecture of classical Greeks and Romans. Rococo architecture emphasizes grace, ornamentation, and asymmetry, whereas neoclassical architecture is based on the principles of simplicity and symmetry, which were evident in the arts of Rome and ancient Greece. So, in a way, you can say that Rococo was opposite of neoclassicism, or there was another movement of neoclassicism which have rejected the ideas of Rococo architecture. Let's see some examples. There are monuments of ancient Rome, which was the inspiration for neoclassicism and neoclassical architecture. For example, look at this fantasy view of Pantheon and monuments of ancient Rome, where you find different kinds of buildings that are evident. The monument, the building with pediment. Similar kind of architecture you find in the Palais de la Légine in Paris, where you find similar form of a dome is used as in Roman and Greek style. This is another building, Ostankino Palace in Moscow, which have another, you can say, idea. You can see, you can compare it with the uh, fantasy view of Pantheon. That same style is copied, or you can say redesigned in neoclassicism. This is the National Gallery of Art in Washington, and here again you find the similar neoclassicist architecture or neoclassical architecture. Romanticism and Romantic architecture. Romanticism was an artistic, literary, musical, and intellectual movement originated in Europe from 1800 to 1890. Romanticism was characterized by its emphasis on the emotion and individualism, as well as glorification of all the past and nature, preferring the medieval rather than the classical architecture. Here, again, you find that Romanticism is another philosophy of art and architecture which is different from neoclassical, because neoclassical was focusing on the forms of the building in the Roman and Greek style, but Romanticism was focused more on medieval period. It was a reaction to industrial revolution. The aristocratic social and political norms of the age of enlightenment and the scientific rationalization of nature. When you find that there is an scientific way of designing things, then there is a symmetry or there is a routine or there is a process where there is a rigidity and there is no free flowing of thoughts. As an industry, when you look at the industry, in industry what happens? One thing repeats again and again, again and again, again and again. So people get bored and they wanted something new, something extraordinary, something different. So romanticism or romantic architecture developed as a reaction to industrial revolution and industrial revolution processes. It had a significant and complex effect on politics, with romantic thinkers influencing the liberalism, radicalism, conservatism, and nationalism. These were the concepts that emerged with the Industrial Revolution, and the Romanticism was the anti of all these concepts. Basic characteristics of Romanticism was emotion, spontaneous overflow of powerful feelings, and free expression of that feeling of the artist or an architect that you can find in the art and paintings of that time, and you can find the romantic architecture and architects, you can say, approach. This is an example of a royal pavilion in Brighton. Here you see the building, how it looks. It's like a dreamy, you can say. It's like you can see when you look at the building, what is the feeling that comes to you? The feeling that comes to us is like a dream. We are in a dream and we are looking at the palace. This is another example, a grand staircase of Paris Opera, where you find a very, you can say, huge and gigantic scale of space. Here you see a basilica and a cathedral in Cologne. If you see the building and its background and context, you find that there is a jewel which is presented in front of us. So romantic architecture is like individual's expression of the form and the materials used. Then there's the concept of academic art and architecture. Academic art or academicism or academism is the style of painting, sculpture, and architecture that produced under the influence of European academies of art. In Europe, there was various academies which used to teach the art and architecture subject. Specifically, academic art and artists influenced by the standard of French Académie des Beaux Arts practiced under the movement of Neoclassicism and Romanticism. It was an attempt to synthesize both the styles of Neoclassicism and Romanticism. So when we are saying academic art and architecture means integration of the both the styles of Neoclassicism and Romanticism. In this context, it is often called academism. Academism is or academism and eclecticism, and sometimes linked with the historicism and syncretism, or the combining different beliefs and practices. So there are various concepts of art and architecture which are integrated in the academic art and architecture. Here is the example of a building which is developed as per academic art and academic architecture. This is Opera Grenier, the Palace Grenier. It is an exemplar of the box art style. It was developed in 1861 to 75. Then there's the concepts of eclecticism, art and architecture. Eclecticism, art and architecture is a conceptual approach that does not hold rigidly to a single paradigm or set of assumptions, but instead draw upon multiple theories, styles, or ideas to gain complementary insights into a subject, or applies different theories in particular cases. So, what is eclecticism is? It is the approach of different theories or styles or ideas. So you can say that various kinds of ideas are implemented at one place or one building. The term eclecticism is used to describe combination in a single work, elements from different historical styles in architecture and in the fine and decorative arts. When an artist or an architect try to make a building which have various kinds of styles integrated, that is known as eclecticism. The term also loosely applied to the general stylistic variety of 19th century architecture after neoclassicism. This is the example of eclecticism architecture in New York Palace, Budapest, Hungary. This is Madrid City Council, Spain, where you find that the building different kinds of styles were used. This is the eclectic house in Bucharest, Romania, where you find Islamic motifs, where you find Greek motifs, where you find the style of Roman windows. So there are various styles integrated into one style, and that is eclecticism architecture. Historicism, art, and architecture. Historicism comprises artistic styles that draw their inspiration from recreating historic styles or imitating the work of historic artisans. This is especially prevalent in the architecture such as revival architecture. Through a combination of different styles or implementation of new elements, historicism create completely different aesthetics than former styles. Thus, it offers a great variety of possible design. So, historicism is the architectural styles that have inspiration from recreating the historic styles, or whatever earlier architects have done, it is repeated in the historicism art and architecture. This is Chevron Palace, Germany. It is an example, a classical example of historicism in architecture, where old style of palace is developed into a new building. Art Nouveau. Art Nouveau is an international style of art, architecture, and applied art, especially the decorative arts known in different languages by different names. Art Nouveau was the style of most popular between 1890 and 1910. It was a reaction. It was a reaction against the academic art, eclecticism, and historicism of 19th century architecture and decoration. Art Nouveau is like artist movement. This artist movement have created international style of art and architecture. Art Nouveau was often inspired by the natural forms, such as the sinuous curves of plants and flowers. The artists, when look at the nature and get inspired from the nature, and then create the buildings or structures or painting or anything else, is Art Nouveau. One major objective of Art Nouveau was to break the traditional distinction between fine arts, that is painting and sculpture, and the applied arts. See this example of a red house made with red bricks. Whole building is like integrated with the nature. This is Paris metro station, and you can see the decoration of the entrance. This is a lamp, an example of Art Nouveau. See the flowers on the lamp. This is the stairway of hotel castle where you find the curvilinear lines in the space. This is like lithograph or a stone print where you find that artists have created stone work and a painting in Art Nouveau style. This is a wall cabinet. See the curvilinear lines in the wall cabinet. This is Japanese wood block print. This is wallpaper design. So all these elements are of Art Nouveau. Other characteristics of Art Nouveau were the sense of dynamism and movement, often given by the asymmetry and the use of modern materials, particularly iron, glass, ceramics, and later concrete, to create unusual form and large open spaces. That is the characteristics of Art Nouveau. It was most widely used in interior design, graphic arts, furniture design, glass art, textiles, ceramics, jewelry, and metalwork. The Art Nouveau style responded to leading 19th century theoreticians and affected their thinking process, such as French architect Eugene Emmanuel and British art critic John Ruskin. Here you see other examples in the interior. This is the Peacock Room. This is the textile design of Art Nouveau. This is the chair design. This is the Hanker House, where you find the different shapes, geometry in the elevation of a building. Even one can find the Art Nouveau in the posters of that particular time, early 19th century. In Britain, it was influenced by William Morris and the arts and crafts movement. In British, there was an art and craft movement started. German architects and designers sought a spiritually uplifting in Art Nouveau that unify the architecture, furnishings, and art in the interior design in a common style to uplift and inspire the residents. So there was this another, you can say, quality of the Art Nouveau which was discovered, that people feel spiritually uplifted with the forms of Art Nouveau. From Belgium to France, it spread to the rest of Europe, taking on different names and characteristics in each country. See the gateway design of the Castle Bergner in the Paris, Barringer in the Paris. This is the entrance to the Paris city. This is the Gustavo Mansion in Brussels. This is a public building in Glasgow. You can see how the patterns of the things are, how the patterns of the buildings are. This is Maxi Koplatz station in Berlin. This is Hexe Hofe market in the Berlin. See how market is designed in Art Nouveau. Art Nouveau often appeared not only in world capitals but also in rapidly growing cities that wanted to establish artistic identities, which also include such urban centers where independence movement were ongoing. By 1914, and with the beginning of the First World War, Art Nouveau was largely exhausted and destroyed. In the 1920s, it was replaced as a dominant architectural and decorative art style by Art Deco and then Modernism. The Art Nouveau style began to receive more positive attention from critics in the late 1960s. So Art Nouveau is like a very interesting movement in the art history and architecture history. And the building forms and the, you can say, elements of space that develop in Art Nouveau period or an Art Nouveau style are really affecting the minds of the people. Let's see some more examples. You see the elevation, the floral design in the building. This is the Museum of Applied Arts in Budapest. See how geometrically asymmetrical form is developed. This is another very good building, Casamila by Antonio Gaudi, a very famous architect of the Art Nouveau style. Antonio Gaudi also developed the elevations of this building, and you can see how decorative, how beautiful use of color is evident in the Art Nouveau style. It definitely attracts the minds who are onlooking this object. This is the Transcendist facade by the Antonio Gaudi. Art Deco. Art Deco, sometimes referred to as Deco, is a style of visual arts, architecture, and design that first appeared in France. Art Deco influenced the design of buildings, furniture, jewelry, fashion, cars, movie theaters, trains, and everyday objects. It took its name from the International Exhibition of Modern Decorative and Industrial Arts held in Paris in 1925, where Art Deco was born. See this Theatre des Champs Elysees in Paris. How simple and elegant design. See this glass, you can say monument, or you can say glass element. It's the Victoria Toyota Museum where you find that Art Deco is at its full expression. This is a table mirror designed in Art Deco style. This is the iron and copper grill oasis developed in Art Deco style. This is Art Deco furniture, Art Deco radio, Art Deco car, and Art Deco train. So it was like futuristic art that was developed in the 1925. Art Deco combined the modern styles with fine craftsmanship and rich materials. That is the quality of Art Deco. Art Deco represented luxury, glamour, exuberance, and faith in the social and technological process. Art Deco was influenced by the bold geometric forms, the bright colors, updated craftsmanship, exotic styles by featuring rare and expensive materials. See the Art Deco church, how elegant the building is. This is BBC Broadcasting House in Art Deco style. This is Radio City Music Hall, New York. See how the color scheme is used. This is Hoover Building Canteen in London. This is Art Deco Club Chair. This is a window for a steel mill office made in Art Deco style. New materials and technologies, especially the reinforced concrete, were key to the development and appearance of Art Deco. Other new technologies that were important into Art Deco were new methods in producing plate glass, which was less expensive and allowed much larger and stronger windows, and for mass producing aluminium, which was used for buildings and window frames in Art Deco style. See the Egyptian theater of Hollywood. This is an Art Deco style. Full concrete, you can say, building and interiors, an exposed concrete stair. This is a stairway in hotel. This is a hotel room actually, and stairway is the design on the wall in Art Deco. You see, so there is something, element of surprise in Art Deco. This is the departmental store pavilion in Art Deco style. See the crown of General Electric building, how it is designed with curvilinear lines and shapes and forms. This is Paramount Shanghai, where you see the building with various elements of Art Deco and the use of colors and lighting in a combination. Then there is a concept of structuralism in architecture. Structuralism is a movement in architecture evolved around the middle of the 20th century. Structuralism is a theoretical model emphasizing that elements of culture must be understood in terms of their relationship to a larger system or structure of any society. It means how culture is important in a society. That is seen in the structuralism. The theoretical concept of structuralism in architecture were developed mainly in Europe and Japan. This is the Nagajin Capsule Tower in Tokyo, where you find that a structure is exposed in a squarish form. This is another example of Kasbah housing estate in Hangilo, where you find that the whole housing scheme is like one structure. Here you can see a Madrid Barajas airport terminal, where you find that the structural elements are exposed in the building. This is the urban district Oudhaven in Rotterdam, where you find that the whole station or a district of area is structurally integrated. This is the central Behir office building in Apeldoorn, where you find that the elements of a structure, beams and columns are integrated to give a form to a building. This is the Salk Institute, California, where the nature of sky and the concrete are integrated in a structural manner. This is another Garrido Oriente station in Lisbon, where you find a huge structure or shades that are combined together to give a building a shape. Brutalist architecture. What is brutalist architecture? Brutalist architecture or New Brutalism is an architectural style which emerged during the 1950s in Great Britain among reconstruction projects of post-war era. Brutalist buildings are characterized by the minimalist constructions that showcase the bare building materials and visible structural elements over decorative design. The style use exposed concrete or brick, forbidding the geometric structures, and mainly monochrome color and other materials such as steel, timber, glass are featured in the brutalist architecture. Let's see some examples. This is Royal National Oliver Theatre in London, where you see the brutalist style. This is Boston City Hall. See how the whole concrete building is exposed. This is a park in Flats, Sheffield, England. Again, you can say RCC frame and structure is quite evident. This is the Habitat 67, Montreal, Canada. These are the housing scheme. Such housing scheme is also made by a Pakistani architect known as Yasmin Lari in the Naval Houses, Karachi, where you find that the similar kind of design is developed. This is the Belfont Tower, London, England. This kind of tower you can find on Shara Faisal, Karachi, where you see such kind of a structure, a slim, sleek, and strong structures which are made in brutalistic style of architecture or brutalist architecture. Organic architecture. Organic architecture is a philosophy of architecture which promotes harmony between human habitation and natural world. The concept is that the human must be integrated with the nature, and the building should also be integrated with the nature, so that the building and the environment will be in harmony. This is achieved through design approaches that aim to be concerned and well integrated with a site, so buildings, furnishings, and surroundings become part of a unified interrelated composition. See the example of falling water, where you find a building is integrated with the nature and seems the part of the nature. This is the Forester's Manstrassen building, which is in the open place in the nature, and building seems the part of the nature. There are various architects who do practice architecture in a way that their buildings are part of the environment and they have environmental experiences in their building. See, exposed bedrock at the Radist metro station, where you can find it is underground and the natural rock is there, and within natural rock you have created a building, and natural rock is exposed to us. So this is like building in nature. That is organic architecture. Means building organically coming from the nature. This is Catholic Church parks. Now see the church building. It looks like a tree house. So tree is like an integral part of any space or a nature, and building is developed in the form of a tree or chiseling the tree and creating a building form from it. Then the last concept is blobitecture. The term blob was used by the Czech British architect Jan Kapelski for the first time for the Blob office building in London in 1986. The term blob architecture was coined by architect Greg Lynn in 1995 in his experiments in digital design with Metball graphical software. Blobitecture or blob architecture or blobism and blobismus are the terms for the movement in architecture in which building have an organic amoeba shaped building form. Let's see some examples of blobitecture or blob architecture. See the future system blobitecture design. This is a Sage Gateshead building, Red Bull hangar in Salzburg, Australia. Thus, with this, you can say we should end our lecture. These are the reference of images that I have taken and shown to you. As I told you that no work is done by one single person. There's always people behind it. So these are the great people behind this lecture. Thank you very much. Hope to see you again.